welcome to a show where you will hear about how our liberty is being eroded by the very people that swear an oath to protect it.
Today, the president signed a big new anti-terrorism bill that would expand the government's ability to track down terrorists, but at some cost.
On this show, we will discuss many of the lies that the government that hates us, by the way, we will discuss the lies that the people in positions of power and influence spread every day.
And what is the best way to confuse children? Confuse them about their sexuality, confuse them about their gender, expose them to things that their little brains are not ready for yet. That is how they are confusing children. It is leading to chaos, and Big Daddy government, of course, can be there to pick us all up and take care of us at the end of it.
We will also talk about how current elected leadership at all levels of government has been corrupted by power and control, as well as discuss the types of leadership needed to correct our republic's course.
We the people. It was time to remember that we the people are the government.
Providing assistance for the Ukrainians to defeat the Russians, that's the number one priority for the United States right now.
I am your host, Larry Linton, retired U.S. Navy Command Master Chief and prior Tennessee House of Representatives District 12 candidate, and welcome to the Liberty, Leadership, and Lies podcast. Welcome to this week's show, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, it is good to be back home in Tennessee. And it has already been a flurry of activity on my part as well. Because, it's during my time at home, between my consulting engagements that are out of state, that is when I have to set up and go to any medical appointments I need, attend meetings here locally, and of course, take care of my honey-do list. All of that being said, I have been busy since I returned home. So, this will be a shorter episode than normal. I've not had a lot of time for show prep this week. I got back to the house this past Monday evening. First thing Tuesday morning, I had a doctor's appointment. And then I had to head into town to get something notarized and sent up to my younger brother in New York. Then later that Tuesday evening, I attended the monthly East Tennessee Conservatives meeting at the Patriot Church in Lenore City. Gary Humble was there for some legislative updates and other information. He also shared some readings from a book that I must get now. The book is titled Kingdoms in Conflict by Charles Colson. What he shared from that book really piqued my interest. So, of course, I ordered it. Then he talked about a discussion he had with a ChatGPT artificial intelligence, and it was quite revealing. Basically, his discussion with the machine ended up with the machine telling him that voting by hand-marked ballots is better than using electronic voting for accountability and accuracy. Imagine that. A machine stating that hand-marked ballots are better than using a machine. It is amazing that artificial intelligence can recognize that, because human intelligence, especially in elected office, cannot seem to recognize that, if you know what I mean. Wednesday was another doctor's appointment, followed by another meeting in the evening. Guess what I had to do on Thursday? Yep, another doctor's appointment. It was time to update my eyeglass prescription. So now it is Friday morning, and I am off on some more errands to run. Before we get into discussing leadership, let's pause for a word from the show's sponsor, Anchor.fm.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That may be the last commercial break for Anchor that we have for the foreseeable future. We'll have to wait and see, though, as Anchor and Spotify have completely merged now. It may be a while before ambassador ads start back up again. As I said, being that this week's topic is leadership, I wanted to make an announcement here on the podcast. If you follow me on social media or subscribe to the blog on my website, you will already know about this announcement. But for the listeners that do not follow the blog or my social media pages, I am announcing that I'm actually seeking a leadership position within the Sevier County Republican Party. I put my name in the hat to be elected chairman of the Sevier County Republican Party. Every odd year here in the state of Tennessee, each county GOP holds a reorganization convention to elect new officers. So I decided to give this route a try. I've been keeping that decision kind of close hold for a few weeks now because I didn't want to alert the good old boy network too early about my intentions. I wanted to keep the element of surprise for as long as possible. Of course, the state GOP's bylaws do not like surprises, so there was a 7-day prior to the reorganization convention deadline for notifying them that I wanted to seek this position. So I informed the contest and credentialing committee chair of the party about my intentions on the deadline, with only a few people aware of those intentions. Let me tell you that just trying to find the name of the chair of that committee, it was an ordeal. I ended up having to reach out to the GOP State Executive Committee representatives from my district to let them both know my intentions because I was not able to get in touch with the chair of the committee. But lo and behold, shortly after the phone call with one of the State Executive Committee reps, I finally received a phone call from the person chairing the committee that is conducting the elections for the new party officers here in Sevier County. The convention is this Monday, the 20th of March. It will be held at the Sevier County Courthouse. Nothing too odd about that, right? But get this. The convention will be held at noon on a workday. It's almost as if they don't want people to show up to vote for new party officers, or that they know exactly who can afford to take the time off to show up and vote at the convention. People like county employees, which we'll get to later. But what do you think? Now, there is some more inside baseball type of information I will share with the listeners as well as on social media once the convention is over with. The information I will share either points to one of two things: incompetence or corruption. We shall see. I want to assure the listeners that this is not a case of if you can't beat them, join them. Oh no. This is a case of if they won't fix themselves, then I will try and do it for them. The state GOP's bylaws have a lot of requirements, not only to run for the position of county chairman, but also in order to be able to vote for that position, there are certain requirements to be met as well. It also ties into some of the inside baseball stuff that I will share next week once the convention is over. So, I will be spending the rest of this weekend preparing for Monday's vote. That is why the abbreviated program this week. Next week, it will be a regular length program. So, please follow the blog at libertyleadershipandlies.com. I will be posting regular updates there about the convention up until the day of the convention. I will also be sharing these updates on all of my social media sites too. But this week and this weekend, I'll be preparing my remarks that I will deliver at the convention, and I'm debating whether to be congenial or to be as hard-hitting as possible. I think you all know which way I am leaning, especially given the news that I received Wednesday afternoon about the convention. For background, at the end of last week, and this is according to a source within the county GOP, there was not anybody that had shown any interest in that position. This past Monday was the deadline for people to put their names in the hat, as I previously mentioned. Well, word came out on Wednesday afternoon that the county sheriff also put his name in the hat too. Talk about an 11th hour addition for the good old boys to keep their hands on the reins of party leadership. So the convention will take place, as I mentioned, in the county courthouse. And the other person running for chair is a county elected official that is in charge of county employees. Would you like to venture a guess as to how many county courthouse employees and sheriff deputies show up to vote at the convention? Meanwhile, people that have normal jobs that cannot take long lunch breaks will be left out of the voting for the position in a predominantly GOP county. Things that make you go, We'll discuss this more in next week's episode. You can be sure of that. That means that this is all the time I have for this week's show, ladies and gentlemen. In closing, we have this week's wisdom from God's Word, and it comes to us from Proverbs 14:23. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. The political parties in our states and in our nation have been mere talk about protecting individual liberties for far too long now. Each of us putting in the hard work to fixing our system of governance will result in the huge profit of restoring constitutional principles to our government. I'm stepping into the arena again. Are you? Are you willing to put in the hard work required so that your children and all future generations can enjoy the freedoms guaranteed in our constitutional republic? Or will you let apathy continue to guide the country? Will you participate in our system of self-governance by voting in each and every election that comes down the pike at us? Or are you just waiting for somebody else to come to the rescue? Waiting for somebody else to put in the hard work? Thank you all for listening this week, and I pray that you enjoy the rest of the weekend. Until next week, stand in the arena with me. Reveille, it's time to wake up.